Hello everyone, my name is Jose Avalos. I'm an associate level designer community at Avalanche Software, and in this tutorial we're going to be learning about wave generators, another one of the new creativities we have put for Disney Infinity 2.0. Basically, wave generators are a way of generating more than one entity at once, be it an enemy or a friend. So we're going to be covering two toys in this tutorial, both enemy wave generators and friendly wave generators. So let's get started. First, I'm going to open up the ribbon and go to Creativity Toys, and I'm going to go to both enemy wave generator and friendly wave generator. And also, just for starters, we're going to be putting a trigger button over here. So if you remember in the first Disney Infinity, if you wanted to spawn many enemies at one time, you had to place many enemy generators and hook up the logic one by one. With both the enemy wave generator and the friendly wave generator, we don't have to do that anymore. We can basically say, okay, spawn this many enemies in this parts of the stage, and it will do exactly that. So you only need to make one logic connection for spawning many different enemies. So the way that this works is, first we're going to say, okay, new logic connection, stepped on player any. And for now, we're going to be using the enemy wave generator, because the friendly wave generator behaves in basically the same way. So let's say, okay, enemy wave generator, and say generate wave, or it can be defeat wave. For example, if you're running through a part of a stage and enemies are chasing you, and then you go past a stage and you're not coming back, it's not very useful in terms of memory and performance to keep those enemies alive. So that's why we have the option of defeating the enemy wave. So let's say we're going to put generate wave. Now we need to define what a wave is. Wave is basically more than one enemy, and for that we go to configure wave, and from here we can see that it says the option add new. So we will add, I pressed A on the Xbox One controller, and you can see small frost giant, small shielded frost giant. You can see a list of all different kinds of enemies. So just for the purposes of this tutorial, I'm just going to keep it at, say, small frost giants and a small shielded frost giant. Now you can try to put more of these, like you can say, okay, now I have 4, but it defeats the purpose of the wave generator. Why? Well, if I press B and go back, I'm just gonna delete this 3. And now you can see that if I select the small frost giant, there is an option that is called set count. If I press it, I can say I can spawn from 1 up to 10 enemies of the same kind. So if I say put 2 and 1 small shielded frost giant, the wave is going to be in total of 3 enemies. So I don't need to place many of the same kind of enemy. This is unnecessary, what I just did. Alright, so now let's see some of the properties. Generate a random locator. We're going to delve into this a little bit more once we start doing locator connections, so I'm not going to mess with that for now. Countdown enabled. Basically it's telling, hey, do you want to have a 3, 2, 1? I'm going to put it on so you can see it. So let's generate the wave. 2, 1. This is what it says, countdown enabled. And the defend is because it's adapted from the game Defend or Die, or Tower Defense game. So I'm just going to generate these enemies. My gosh. Yeah, Captain America is strong. So 2, 1, defend. Now this is something really important that you need to take into consideration when doing this, is that if the enemy wave is already generated and I try to say, hey, generate it again, it's not going to do it because the wave is actually currently in play. So it's not going to do anything. It's not going to generate a wave until I destroy all the enemies in the wave. So this is something that you really need to be careful about. Okay, now let's go back to the properties. So no, I'm sorry. Countdown enabled now. Generation delay. Basically, it is how many seconds it's going to happen between the generation of the different enemies. As you can see, there were 4 seconds between I step on the trigger and the first small frost giant showed up, and then 4 seconds between those showed up and the small shieldless frost giant showed up. Now, disable generation effects. This means basically, do you want the enemies to play their appearing animation? In this case, it was the frost giants appearing out of nowhere. If I put it on, they're just gonna show up. So let's try it out. Instead of spawning from the eyes, you can see that they just appear and start doing attacking immediately. Yeah, you don't mess with Captain America. Okay, let's see the properties again. So we were in disable generation effects. This is hold until all generated. Basically, this means do you want the enemy to start attacking immediately, or they're just gonna wait until all the enemies in the wave are generated and then attack the player? By default, it's off. So basically, that's why the small frost giants attack me before the small shieldless frost giant appeared. And finally, we have team. This is going to depend, hey, do you want to be blue team, orange team? This can be useful for multiplayer matches where you want enemies to be your allies. So this is another option that you have. And now that we have that, we can see what kind of logic connections we have. So we have wave generated. So what's going to happen once all the enemies appear. What happens when all the enemies are defeated in the wave. This is going to be what happens once I kill one enemy per wave. So in this case, in the wave I have, this would trigger 3 times, 2 for the small frost giants and 1 for the small shieldless frost giant. This is what's happened after you generate the first unit, and finally this is generator destroyed. Now, generator destroyed doesn't apply much to enemy wave generators. These are used in other toys, which are just let me find it over here, which is also in creativity toys. Creativity toys that spawn enemy waves as well. So enemy spawning cauldron or another one from the kiln. So for those kind of toys, this is the one you actually need. So for now, we're not going to be worrying too much about these. So that logic event is not going to be very important. So let's say new logic connection once the wave is defeated. Let's make the player celebrate, shall we? So I'm just going to put an action enforcer. So when the wave is defeated, I'm going to celebrate, and I'm going to celebrate all the players. So let's try it again. It takes a little while, but that's because of the generation delay that we had set up in the properties. And you can see I killed all 3 enemies, and Captain America celebrates. In fact, I killed the small shieldless frost giant before before it spawned, basically, by attacking at the place where the small frost giants were. So let's configure something else. The locator. So basically, as you have seen so far, if I don't set any locators to the enemy wave generator, they all spawn from the same point. But what happens if I want the smallest frost giants to appear from over here and the shieldless frost giant from over here? So let's put it in place. So now we're going to be looking for locators, which are also in the creativity toys. In this case, the orientation matters because that's the direction the enemies are going to be facing. So I'm just going to put 4, and the reason why I'm going to put 4, it's going to be apparent in a minute. So for attaching the locators to the enemy wave generators, there's 2 ways. First, we can do it by selecting the locator and say, hey, new locator connection. Select the enemy wave generator and say spawn location. Or we can do it from the enemy wave generator itself and say new locator connection. This is what it means, and we're gonna then attach it to the locator, spawn location. And now I'm gonna do the same for the other two locators in here. So spawn location, and finally new locator connection, this one. Okay, so let's try spawning the wave again and see what happens. As you can see, the two small frost giants appear from different locators, and the small shielded frost giant appears from another locator. So let's kill these guys first. No! And now that I defeated the whole wave, the enemy Captain America celebrates. We still have that logic connection, so I'm not going to worry about it anymore, so I'm just going to erase it. And this is the final interesting property that we have. Let's say generate at random locator. If I say on, I have four locators in here, and we have 3 enemies. Basically what it's gonna do is say, hey, from these 4 choose 3 at random and spawn the enemies from there. So now that we have it on, let's see if they actually spawn from other locations. So the enemy wave should appear any second now. So you can see that this one, which we hadn't used before, is now used by the small frost giant, and even both of them appear in the same location. So that's the final property that of the generate at random locator. Now, for setting up a team, you can do it by selecting it here, or if we use a creativity toy as a blue team activator, we can say, okay, let's say new team connection, we select the blue team activator, and we say set team. So now if we spawn the wave, the enemies are going to appear from these 3. Oh, I got a feed. That's nice, I guess. So you can see that it's got that little glow from blue. It's hard to see, but they are from the blue team. Oh! Okay, you getting Captain America's shield, America. And that's really all there is to know about the enemy wave generator. I'm not going to delve too much in the friendly wave generator because it behaves in the same way as the enemy wave generator, but the main difference is that instead of spawning enemies, it's going to spawn friendlies. So, you can see that the properties are the same. Generate at random locator, countdown enable, generation delay, disable generation effects, hold until all generated, and the team. So it behaves basically the same way. It's just the main difference is what kind of characters it spawns. So it can be either mounts, like Bullseye, or it can be like sidekicks as the Brawlers or other ones from the Toy Box game Escape from the Kiln, or other decent characters such as, I'm just gonna put Rex in here, and I'm also gonna put Robin Hood because, well, it's Robin Hood. I don't need any justification, right? So now I'm gonna set the count. So instead of 1 Robin, I'm gonna spawn 2. I need to press OK, otherwise the count is still gonna be 1. And now I need to change the logic connection so it's not gonna spawn enemies. So now instead is logic connection stepped on player any. We're gonna generate the wave. Right, let's try that. It's gonna spawn any second now.
Nice day.
We have Rex. Yay! I want to give you a hug, Rex. Get over here. Yay, Robin! Alright, Robin, we're gonna go into adventures. I jump and kick you! Okay, so well, as you can see, the friendly wave generator, it behaves in the exact same way as the enemy wave generator, and that's it for this tutorial on wave generators. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments or in the forums. I'm always available, and well, thanks for watching.